Hey guys, Chad here from Take It or Leave It, here with an early movie review for you for the film Bring Her Back. Here's the synopsis. A brother and sister uncover a terrifying ritual at the secluded home of their new foster mother. Alright guys, and with that down, let's get into the pros and the cons, starting with the pros. Well, the first thing to note is that this is directed by the same two brothers who directed Talk to Me. They're known as the Philippou brothers, otherwise known as Raka Raka. And I'll be honest, if I did not know that going into it, I think within the first 5 or 10 minutes, I would have guessed that this is directed by the same guys. And that's not necessarily a dig at them. I'm just saying that there are some common elements from Talk to Me to this movie in the sense that the film opens very provocatively and it gets going pretty quickly. But just like Talk to Me, this is a very well-crafted, well-shot, and very creatively shot film. But man, I tell you what really helps these directors out, and that is the performances. Pretty much all around, the performances are fantastic. Sally Hawkins is obviously incredible. She really owns this role. But honestly, the standout, the person who really stole the show, at least for me, was Jonah Ren Phillips. He gives an incredibly courageous and visceral performance, and I believe pretty much every second of it. But he and the rest of the cast also had some help, and that was from the effects and makeup department. Because holy shit, the practical effects and the practical makeup applied in this movie, I mean, it is disturbing as all hell. Directors of Final Destination 7, please take note. But seriously, some of the imagery, some of the visuals are just haunting, grisly, and just completely disturbing, in particular from the found footage elements of the film. I'll be honest, those were some of my favorite parts of this movie. Anytime we went back to the found footage elements of the movie, I perked up. I was so sold on that shit. It reminded me a lot of the found footage and VHS stuff from The Empty Man, if you remember that, about halfway through the film at the campgrounds. Like, it was scary and disturbing as all hell, and it was great in that movie, and it's freaking fantastic in this film. But not only are the found footage elements of this film completely twisted and terrifying, but they're also really informative, and there's an emotional element to them as well. Specifically, I'm referring to the last found footage sequence. Toward the very end of it, the scene goes from terrifying like the rest of the found footage sequences, and then it slides into emotional territory, which was a complete surprise. It's fairly subtle, and if you're not paying attention, you'll probably miss it, but it actually humanized some of the characters in a big way for me. So hats off to the writers and the directors for putting that in. It was totally unexpected and very unique. Good for them. But now it's time to get into some of the issues that I had with the film. Here's what I'm going to say before I get into the cons, okay? I think that if you like Talk to Me, I think you're going to be pretty much prepped for this film. And if you had some issues with Talk to Me, then I think you're probably going to have some issues with this film because the director's style from that film carries over into this movie. And unfortunately, I fall in the latter category, so seeing some familiar direction in this movie kind of rubbed me the wrong way, I guess. For example, like I referenced earlier, the film starts at what feels like a rapid pace. The best way I can describe it is that when the movie starts, I felt like I was almost 5 or 10 minutes late for the film, because in the first minute of the movie, it feels like the same tempo and cadence that the film would normally have at the 10, maybe 15 minute mark. That's not necessarily like an objective critique by any means. It could just be a preference thing. Like, it might work for you. You might actually enjoy that, and it just doesn't work for me. But for me personally, I found myself not connecting with and not caring about who I considered to be the main characters of the film as much as I would have liked. And I think that part of this is because of that rapid pace early on in the film that just doesn't feel like we get to spend some time developing these characters as much as I'd like. And while this next con is maybe just a minor issue for me, I could see this being a big issue for other people, in particular those who don't have a lot of interest or patience for slow burn movies. Because like I alluded to earlier, there is a dramatic component to this film and a horror component to this film, but the horror component component doesn't really kick in till maybe halfway through the film, which on paper doesn't necessarily bother me. It only bothers me if the ending doesn't feel like it has a payoff to it. But boy, oh boy, does this bring me to my biggest problem with the film, which is the ending. I'm gonna try my damnedest to stay away from spoilers, and here's what I'm really just gonna say, okay? Upon re-examination of this film, I just don't see any way you slice it that you can say that there is a clear resolution to this movie. Like, I stayed till the very end of the credits thinking this is gonna pull, you know, a Sinners and have like the big epilogue, the most important part of the ending at the very end credits. I was just like, it's got to. It just has to, right? There's no way this is just the end. Not only does the end get a little too cat and mouse chase and action oriented for me, but by the end of the film, I felt like there was very little payoff. There was absolutely no catharsis. There was no closure to speak of, and there was very little resolution whatsoever. Again, I don't want to get into spoilers, okay, but I'm just going to say it like this. When you see this film, you tell me that the characters you consider to be the protagonists of the film, you tell me that you have a good understanding of what their future looks like and how the film and their arc ends. I challenge you to do that, and even if you're able to, I doubt that you'll be able to tell me that it's satisfying. But here, I'm going to give you a tip that I think might help your ability to enjoy this film, and certainly I'm going to see it a second time, and I'm going to go in with this frame of mind. Here's my advice. Go into this film considering Sally Hawkins' character to be the main character of the film. If you do that, I think the ending may be more satisfying. Don't worry, that's not a spoiler. I'm not getting into who lives or who dies, nothing like that. I'm just saying that if you have that frame of mind going into this movie, I do think that the ending may be more satisfying, and that's the way I'm going to go into my second viewing. But as of my first viewing, I had a lot of things in here that I loved. There's a lot of shit to enjoy, and there's some stuff I think they almost knock out of the park. Some of the horror in this film is utterly terrifying, but just like Talk to Me, the positives are outweighed by the negatives at least a little bit, and I gotta give Bring Her Back a 5.3 out of 10. But those are just my thoughts, take it or leave it. What do you guys think? Are you excited about this movie? Are you pretty pumped? Are you gonna see it on the opening weekend? Or are you a little bit cautious because you weren't exactly the biggest fan of Talk to Me? Here's the final piece of advice I'm gonna give you guys. If you're interested in seeing this movie, go frickin' see it, because I think there's a good chance for some of you that this is going to be your favorite horror film of the year, and I totally get it. So go see it, come back, let me know what you think down in the comments section, and let's talk about it. And if you enjoyed this video but you want more information about what's on my watch list, what I'm currently watching, the kind of ratings I'm giving these films, as well as upcoming releases I'm looking forward to, don't forget to follow me on track.tv. My username is TIOLI_reviews. The link is in the description box. Go ahead and click it and start following me on Tracked, and I look forward to seeing you over there. And as usual, guys, thank you so much for stopping by my channel. I really appreciate it. Don't be afraid to hit that like and subscribe button. And until next time, I'm Chad from Take It or Leave It, and I'll check you later.
Check you later. Check you later.
Hey, man, get off my case.
Oh, man. Chicks don't want to hear that shit.